Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be having you again on another week, another content, another time to share amazing content with you. This is personal development with Udo Victoria, and my name is Udo Victoria Imo. I'm super excited to be doing this with you another time. For today's episode, we're going to be dealing with something very interesting. All the while we've been talking about skills that would help you with personal development, but now we're going to be talking about a habit, a very important character that affects your personal development series and achievement and your success story, and that's discipline. So today's episode is going to be on 5 tips to build self-discipline. A lot of people have dreams, aspiration, goals that they set for themselves, but they have a problem actualizing those goals because they don't have the discipline to actualize these goals. I'm certain if you hear top people that have spoken about success, they tell you, oh, you have to wake up on time, you have to eat good food. We spoke about habits in our last video, habits that help you succeed as a professional. But now we're going to talk about how do you eventually discipline yourself to get rid of those habits, also inculcate these new ones that you've been advised to, so that you can have a success story. And that's what today's video is going to be about. So don't go anywhere. Let's get into the reading of this video as we talk about all the amazing things that would help you actualize your success story. Alright, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Once again, this is personal development with Dr. Victoria. If you're yet to subscribe, please subscribe, hit the like button, comment, and share this video with your friends, your colleagues, and young professionals you feel need to hear this. In fact, this is for every single person, not just young professionals. This is for any human being at all. 5 tips that would help you build discipline. How do you discipline yourself? So like I said previously, there are times where you set goals, you set plans, you lay out those plans for yourself, and you say, what, I want to achieve this is what I want to do for my life, this is what I want to actualize. But then you're not able to actualize these goals because there are certain habits you can't get rid of, or there's this thing called procrastination, there's this thing called laziness, or there's this thing, I cannot come and kill myself. It's not me that killed Jesus Christ, so I cannot come and kill myself. And it's not me, it's not my fault that the economy is bad. It's not my fault that things are not working in my favor. I cannot just come and die on top of hustle and on top of success. But please, these characters can be handled without you having to necessarily stress yourself and put yourself to a particular limit. There are just certain levels where you have to make certain kind of sacrifice so that you can achieve your success story, and you can be the best in your spiritual life, in your physical life, in your mental life, your relationships, and even your career as a young professional. So now speaking, what is the first thing that you have to have at the back of your mind when we're talking about discipline? 1, build realistic goals. Now, I have always talked about the fact that when we talk about personal development, it begins with the mind, the mindset. What is my mind fixed on? What do I want to achieve? What are the set goals I have for my life? During what period? But then you see that people have unrealistic goals, goals that that you cannot achieve within a certain period of time. You're a student in university, you're not reading your books, you're partying all the time, and you're telling yourself you want to graduate with a 4.91 GPA. Is university a joke to you? Please, no. So what I'm saying inadvertently is that there are people that have unrealistic goals that don't make sense, goals that typically looking at them, it's not possible. Like, it's me now and I'm saying I want to buy a car in 3 months. From where? Where am I getting the money from? It's not magic, right? And except I want to start a scam, which obviously I would not. It's against my character and my belief to do that. I don't see myself. In fact, people that even do this yahoo, I don't think they used to buy a calendar how many days, but you're setting it as part of your goals. Okay, now let's come to your career part. You're saying that you want to become the HR manager, the head of a particular department in 1 year of your entering the firm, but you're actually not working towards it. That there are a lot of people lined up. There's something called grace, which I definitely believe in. However, there are certain goals that you're working towards, you have to make them realistic. In as much as you're giving yourself a particular timeline, you have to be very realistic about those goals, because the moment you create this farce around your goals, you cannot achieve them. That's the honest truth. You're talking about your spiritual life, right? You want to win souls for Christ, but you don't attend services. You don't even study the Bible. But yet, what do you want to go and preach to the unbeliever? What do you want to tell the person? going into the world and preach, but you don't have the spirit of God in you because you're not studying, you're not meditating. Those goals are very unrealistic, right? You want to get married. The typical one is, there's this meme I saw last week that said, according to the way I planned my life, by this Saturday, this afternoon was supposed to be my traditional wedding. There are a lot of things that have come, ASO strike and the rest, and people are like, no, this life is not just balance. But that's one of the things, because when you set goals without having the conscious mind of all the do's and things that can fall on the sideways, you're going to be a victim of a failed plan. And then once you realize that you have a failed plan, there's this subconscious self-blame you put on yourself for not being able to actualize this plan. So please set realistic goals. You join an organization, you want to become a head of a department in the next 3 years, you work towards it. Make sure your goals are realistic. And how do you know whether your goals are realistic or not? You examine the resources available to you. You examine the circumstances of those goals that you're setting. For instance, I want to graduate from school, I want to do my master's outside the country, I want to do a lot of things. But then I don't have the zeal, I'm not even planning to graduate with a good grade, or I don't have the resources to do it and stuff like that. But yet I say I want to study abroad. It's not magic, it's not fiction or something like that. Your goals have to be realistic. And then realistic goals have a characteristics of having the goal plan, the time limits that you have to actualize that goal. Do you understand? So all these things are the things you need to have at the back of your mind each time you're talking about goals and actualizing your goals. Now, what is the second thing that you need to have? Have an accountability coach. How does having an accountability coach help with discipline? A lot of people, like I said, set plans, and these plans have a particular period of time to be actualized. But then the problem is that these plans that they set, right, they don't have someone that is following them up on it. They don't have someone that is asking them, have you actualized it? So I have this friend of mine, right, beginning of this year, we both wrote down what we want to actualize in 2022, and 2022 is gradually coming to an end. We're already in the month of August, and so each month we remind ourselves and we ask ourselves, this thing you said you were going to do, have you done it? This thing you said you were going to do, have you done it? What is hindering you from actualizing this one, and what's the problem you're facing that hasn't let you actualize this particular one that you want to actualize? And it's part of the things that we discuss as as people, as a friend, and stuff like that. So you have to have someone that's always asking, have you done this? Have you actualized this? And you don't necessarily need to wait for someone to come and ask you. You can always ask your parent, your mom, your dad to be your accountability coach, right? Someone that would remind you of the importance of your plans and your goals that you want to actualize. This will help you, because once you're just freelancing and on the edge of, I cannot keep myself vibe, once you're on that vibe, you have no source of someone pushing you to help you, or someone asking you how long have you been able to practically actualize something. And that's one of the things that you need to have at the back of your mind, that you need an accountability coach that would help you to actualize the things that you want to actualize. Now, what's the third thing that you need to have? What's the step that you need to build development? Work on your habits. Emphasis on work. Personal development is a conscious and intentional effort. Like, you have to station your mind and tell yourself, I want to actualize these things, right? And then there's the issue of procrastination, laziness, the situation of Nigeria, and all the things that we blame for not achieving the things that we want to achieve. But then, are you working hard enough on those habits that hinder you? For instance, are you working hard enough to, learn to read? Are you working hard enough to learn to maximize your sleeping period? Are you working hard enough to learn to maximize the resources around you? Are you working hard enough on that skill set that you want to help you to become the head of a particular department or to achieve something, right? For instance, let's talk about work now. The example we gave previously, you are working in an organization and you founded an organization, and you're like, I want this organization to grow in the next 2 to 3 years, become one of the top organizations in Nigeria or in Africa, to get this global relevance, right? But then at the same time, you've not worked on the team progress of the executives, of the members of your team that are building this together. You have not worked on responses. You've not worked on a collaborative, relationship between the members of this organization and yourself, and yet you want the organization to thrive. It doesn't work that way. You need to make conscious effort to work on these things that would affect your self-discipline or affect the level of successes you would have from a particular goal that you have set for yourself. You need to consciously. Now, how do you consciously? Because I mean, I could give myself this pep talk and say, Victoria, you can do this. You can put your mind to it. You can do it. Once you think it, you can achieve it. Once you see it, once you foresee it, you can, oversee it, and all those quotes and pep talk that we tell ourselves. But what is that main thing that would strive, help you and push you to the limit? It's going to take us to the fourth tip that will help you build your discipline, which is fix your mind on the result of your discipline, which is the success. What's the end game? Fix your mind on the end game. Remind yourself of the end game. Okay, this is the result I'm going to get. This is how I'm going to achieve. So remind yourself. So for instance, I'm the founder of an intellectual networking hub for law students across Nigeria, and this organization is known as the Budding Lawyer Space, right? The Budding Lawyer Space was founded in 2020. That's on the 7th of December 2020. That's when the Budding Lawyers was birthed. Now, after BLS came to life, we had these visions and goals. We had our mentors sit us down and talk to us about how we want to actualize our visions and goals that we had for the Budding Lawyer Space. I and my team came together and we were like, you know what, we're students. We want our fellow students to get opportunities to a lot of things. So this is how we're going to do it, right? This is how we're going to see it to the end, right? But now, along the line, there's this tired, everybody's dragging their feet, they're not so sure if the goals that we set won't actualize them again. Everybody's just like, can we do this, can we not do that, and all those things that happen, right? Good, fine, all those things happen. But at the very same time, we remind ourselves that eventually the Budding Lawyer Space is going to become an organization that the world, right, not just Nigeria now, that the world will hear about. This is an organization of law students. They are making changes. They are, people that have graduated and left this organization are doing big things. They are receiving awards and stuff like that. How you hear about international organizations and stuff like that. We constantly remind ourselves of where we see body lawyers in the next 5 to 10 years, and that reminds us that we need to put in the work now. We need to put in the work now to actualize that place, that goal, that particular result that we see the body lawyer space at, right? All these things do not allow us to slack off. They don't allow us to feed that, because we constantly remind ourselves of the end game. That's exactly what you should do. At any moment when you feel like you're slacking off in your studies or you're slacking off in work, remind yourself of the end game. In fact, remind yourself in the office that if you don't work hard, they're not going to increase your salary. All your juniors will come and pass you. You'll still be there answering associates, and you're not going to go anywhere because you've not worked hard, you've not proved yourself, you've not earned your keep in that organization, right? Now, let me drift a little bit to law students, or to students generally who are trying to discipline themselves and get their best grades, right? Remind yourself of the end game. There's this saying, something I saw this morning on Instagram, that the pain is temporary, but that Esquire, that name, barrister, that they add to you, barrister and solicitor to the Supreme Court of Nigeria, is forever, it's for eternity till you die. So endure this little time where you have to work hard, have sleepless nights, memorize books and read and do research and stuff. Enjoy it now, because the greater gain is coming. That's my advice to you. If you're going to take one thing out of this video, please understand that discipline comes the moment you understand and realize that there is the long-term enjoyment of a particular result of your discipline. You should be disciplined. Always constantly remind yourself. Now, the last tip, which is the fifth one, is that you need to make good use of technology that is around you. What do I mean? When we talk about technology, right, there are various apps on my phone that help me. There's this weight loss app I have, there's this app that reminds me to drink water, there's this app that reminds me that I need to eat fruits, there's this app that reminds me I need to do my morning prayers, there's this app that reminds me of devotion. Different apps remind me to do different things. So utilize it. We know technology is bad. Everybody says, oh, they are the specs of technology, there are also the good parts. Why don't you focus on the good parts that allow you to, discipline you? So you set reminders, you set time. This is the time I will do it, and push yourself to do it. Anytime that alarm comes on and you're tempted to just swipe snooze, or you're tempted to just swipe off, remind yourself that once you snooze, you lose. You snooze, you lose. Just so you know. Don't go and be nezuzu, just can't be doing anyhow. Remind yourself that at the end of what you're doing, at the end of this point where you're pushing in, you're putting in efforts to do something good is coming out of it. That's what I constantly tell myself. Because in as much as I wouldn't say I've achieved so much, but in as much as at this stage of my life I've done it, but I keep reminding myself that I can't get tired. Because the end goal is to get global recognition. So when you're not putting in those efforts, it won't come. It's not something that falls like manna from heaven. You have to put in that work effort. So guys, please, you guys should pay attention to these tips that will help you for self-discipline, right? What are the tips? You need to re-examine your goals and set realistic goals, right? You need to have an accountability coach. Your parents, your friend, your neighbor, even these technologies now that help you, set reminders and remind you of what you're supposed to do, your calendar. You need to work on your habits, work on those habits that will not allow you to actualize your goals. Remind yourself constantly of the result and the end game of your discipline. And lastly, utilize the technologies that are around you that would help you actualize discipline, right? These are the 5 tips I have for you on building self-discipline. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning in and subscribing to Personal Development with Victoria. I hope to see you next time. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to share, don't forget to comment, don't forget to share your experiences of discipline. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment box and I'm going to address all of them. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye guys.